Welcome to News Alert on Capital Television. The newly sworn-in Health Minister Dr. Korle-Bu Mensah has reappointed the dismissed acting Chief Executive Officer of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, Reverend Albert Okpoti-Bochwe. Dr. Ajiman Mensah, in a letter addressed to the board chairman of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, Eddie Annan, and copied to the Executive Secretary to President John Mahama, Chief Director at the Ministry of Health and Auditor General, overturned an earlier decision taken by his predecessor, Sherry Ayite, which relieved Reverend Bochwe of his post. Reverend Bochwe was asked to step down following a series of complaints and agitations by senior staff of the hospital. A second-year day student of Swedro School of Business, Ms. Ivy Owusu, has committed suicide after her mother failed in paying her school fees. Her lifeless body was on Monday found hanging in an uncompleted building at Agona Swedro in the central region. A police spokesperson told newsmen at Agona Swedro that the mother of the girl, Madam Ikuya Mwafua, explained the girl did not go to school on Monday because she owed fees. According to reports, the deceased owed fees amounting to 190 Ghana cedis, which Madam Amwafua promised to settle once she receives a loan she had requested for. We gather Madam Amwafua was in town pursuing the loan when news reached that her daughter had committed suicide. Ivy's body, meanwhile, has been deposited at the mortuary of the Agona Swedro Government Hospital awaiting autopsy.
Life can be cruel for the living, but when peace eludes the dead, then trouble brews. This evening, we take a look at the state of our cemeteries with focus zooming in on the Awudome and the Osu public cemeteries. Not only is the Awudome cemetery turning into a forest, shameless people have turned portions of the cemetery into business centers. Some also use the cemetery as a place of convenience and rubbish place. At the Osu Public Cemetery, we spotted youth relaxing on the tombs with others undertaking various chores. If cemeteries are supposed to be resting places for deceased relations, how can the living visit tombstones to pay homage and offer reflection in such insecure environment? To make matters worse, land housing cemeteries in the capital are congested, forcing new bodies to be buried in old graves. City authorities are badly exposed when one looks at the well-maintained Osu Military Cemetery, not to speak of the Arlington Cemetery in America. But what do citizens make of the deplorable state of our cemeteries?
What I think is the best is the AMA to come to board to see how best we can couple to help all of us. What I'm seeing now, I don't think is the best. AMA, they have I think at least they have a way of creating some, let me say, fun for their project. You see, so this will be the best way to get some big fun to help all of us. So what I would say is the AMA boss to sit up.
Abenjumaye tino bon ma no so betonton ade a obenya bidi o shanka doka no de kwan so no abeso once na ade san na bad boys no o mutimi jeje nkrofo bag e do rare inside wo sometimes they go na metiasa na me hu se vena po ankasa o bolo utimi se boni bi asia ma o ma sia de for be rare inside wo ne na mo me say anopa 8 na me ba e bo 4 o'clock mapon coffee. And so I almost say belly hour, so still I told the I'm not putting me back because I don't my wife. I didn't a bag and them and then the Sanka in pay for no share no do to inside to me clear. If you am living with now almost FSF is a light. Dear Sanka, quite so clear. And so still bad boys need to me the tie papa no want to know Sanka in pay for no to me about your home mine. Sanabaya, your only tree.
The Mepesi a bear for cemetery when you say. I was so mudo. Oh, a hofu. So be crack with him no din some money crying who no. So be Namhan will be the question here why you know. Say Empo empo kura no so obi etu obi funa ohu yenhu ubehu na ya tutu funu basa wo honom abra ense se ebasa entino esra ban se ana yesre authority se wo mu hwe na wo mu ensiesie cemetery no maye
ayi me fi se de wo kan de asem bia ahomte pa because wo hwe sa awodomi cemetery a acho tete cemetery betem bia wo baba kra wo ko second so a na opie su first be wo baba na afu beda ye busa se nti eni panifo bia wo mo hwe so sa de wo mo in charge a wo betumi ahwe emom ni pa wuni a na wo de wo body de kwa ye wonkofo a wo mo hwe so a wo mutumi gibibi efri aye family ni ho na hwefu afu a ye ntumi hu we wa hwe kra de be sha ban as I don't think say we no e ban matter se wo ko wura area sa obi a wo babi a ye de ni pase aye muhyeye omo do ho yetumi asore sie ya yetumi de ya manjuma communal labor ni e do ho na we no ye nyina ya ntiase we don't understand say awudomi pa the popular place cemetery ti say no afua ma utumi say ndimi ne obusa ahomete pa very 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 serious ye wo babi an na mamre ye wo eku bi wo a wo do ho kohyema sabi wu a ye be hyew na yen akan mamre de akan yen kran e say akan mamre de ye sidipa enti ye pere say sa awudomi aseye wo mu siesie hoye na amra no wo mbabo na ko deep eni nipa miensa na kra tumi ko deep the first person or ko deep and flow second person who be so free man e do bia koto aso eno betumi akipu ama ese na ede achama ye esan say asase na ede esa.
The news team sought answers from Dr. Simpson Enimboatin, Director, Metro Health Department of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
You see, the Odusu Cemetery is not being used for any other purpose other than the purpose for which it is intended. That is for burial of the dead, and it is well kept. I'm sure you've been there recently. The problem we have there is that there is no space, and that cuts across all the cemeteries that are under our control. If you go to the Awudome Cemetery, you will notice that the place is also full. There are two wings. The other wing has been closed for some time now. Currently, where you went and where we are doing the burials, I want to admit that it's overgrown, but it's because of the recent rains. Almost every year we read there once. This year we haven't started because of the rains. The moment we start, we clear everything. Those activities that you have mentioned are being done outside the cemetery. They are doing it outside the cemetery. There is a fence wall, and all these activities are going on outside the fence wall. So they are not in the cemetery, because we will not allow anybody to operate any activity in the cemetery apart from burial. Actually, let me tell you, we have plans of reusing that portion of the cemetery, because there are no spaces, and that's the only way we can go. If we want to continue burying, then we have to come out with innovative ways of doing that. And we have proposed to the Assembly that we should clear that portion of the cemetery so that we can reuse it. And this time around, we are going to plan it. It's not going to be like business as usual. What we are going to do is just going to be like what is being practiced at the military side of the cemetery. Cremation is an option. Cremation has not gained grounds in the country yet, but the trend indicates that it is gradually, very gradually, but it is being accepted.
Ghanaians are noted for elaborate funerals, but will there ever be a time when citizens shift attention to the last resting places of their deceased relations?
A senior economist has blamed the redomination of the cedi against the United States dollar embarked by the government in 2007 for the current inflation problem the nation is facing. Dr. J.K. Kwachi, senior economist of the Institute of Economic Affairs, said the decision was a political one, and according to him, it was an illusion which should not have been created. He said trying to make a currency stronger than the dollar by cancelling some zeros was not good enough, adding that the smallest unit of the dollar since its creation was still in circulation, whereas that of the Ghana cedi cannot buy anything. The Commonwealth Games is set to officially open today with a lavish opening ceremony at Celtic Park in Glasgow. With 17 disciplines to be contested for over 11 days, the Games should provide plenty of exciting moments, particularly with the confirmed participation of superstars like Usain Bolt, Mo Farah of Great Britain, and David Rudisha of Kenya. The Games will be opened by Queen Elizabeth II, who will read a message contained in the baton, which was at the heart of a year-long relay across Commonwealth countries. Over 40,000 spectators are expected to fill the home grounds of Celtic Football Club for the ceremony, which will include a cast of 3,000 for the opening ceremony. Sierra Leone's government has announced that the head doctor fighting the deadly tropical virus Ebola has himself caught the disease. 39-year-old Sheikh Umar Khan, hailed as a national hero by the Health Ministry, was leading the fight to control an outbreak that has killed 206 people in the West African country. Ebola kills up to 90% of those infected, and there is no cure or vaccine. Across Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone, more than 600 people have died from the illness, according to the World Health Organization, placing great strain on the health systems of some of Africa's poorest countries. Khan, a Sierra Leonean virologist credited with treating more than 100 Ebola victims, has been transferred to a treatment ward by a medical charity. Some days ago, 3 nurses working in the same Ebola treatment center alongside Khan died from the disease. Symptoms of the highly infectious disease are diarrhea, vomiting, and internal and external bleeding.
That ends News Alert on Capital Television.